Hey, so sounding professional in English is about much more than just grammar and vocabulary. And there are different levels of formality that are expected depending on your job, your position, or your industry, right? So today we are going to talk about the key elements that will help you to communicate more professionally and more confidently, regardless of your job or your industry. Let's go. First of all, you need to be clear and concise when you are speaking. So whether you're speaking to customers, clients, colleagues, whether you are delivering a presentation, you always need to think about your listener or your audience. Professionals in any field must be able to communicate their ideas clearly and concisely. Because if your listeners don't understand you, it doesn't matter how much technical knowledge you have, how much experience you have. If your listeners, your customers, your colleagues, your team don't understand you, that's a problem. Now, in order to make sure that you are being clear and concise, you need to make sure that your ideas are organized. You also need to make sure that you've removed any unnecessary information that can be confusing for your listener. In some languages, it is better to explain an idea in a longer, more complex or detailed way. But that doesn't always translate well into English. So instead, you want to make sure that your ideas are organized, clear, and concise, and you're avoiding language that your listener might not understand or might find confusing. Next, you need to be polite. In English, when you communicate politely, this is considered to be professional. This is actually expected in professional communication and professional situations. So this means you want to be using polite phrases, indirect questions, respectful language, appropriate greetings, and you also want to be aware of cultural differences. It's important to be culturally aware and culturally sensitive. It's also important to recognize that politeness doesn't look the same for everyone. So you really need to consider the culture again, the situation, who you are speaking to. In some cases, it might be okay to be a little informal, and in some situations, you might need to be more formal, right? If you are unintentionally rude or you're perceived as rude by people you are working with or customers or clients, then you will be seen as unprofessional. So it is important to understand the differences between what sounds professional and polite in English and what comes across as impolite or rude. Now, if you are trying to take your business English communication skills or your professional life to the next level and you feel like English has been holding you back, then the Essential English for Business course is for you. This is a self-study course that I've created to help you learn all the fundamentals that you need to communicate confidently, naturally, and professionally in English. So I will link the course down below this video so you can check it out. Next, you need to be a good listener. Now, being a good listener is equally as important as being a strong speaker if you want to come across as being professional. Why is that? If your customers, your clients, your team, your colleagues feel like you're not listening to them, whether you understand them fully or not, you will seem unprofessional. It's really important to show people that you are actively listening, trying to understand them, that their ideas are important, and that you value and respect their time and the opportunity to work together. Now, in order to demonstrate good listening skills, you want to be asking relevant questions. You want to ask follow-up questions and react to what the other person is saying to you. If listening is not your strong suit and maybe you get distracted or you have trouble understanding people when they speak, then you really want to make sure that you work on your listening skills. I have made a full lesson on how to improve your listening skills. I'll link that below in case you missed it. Now, this is a really big one: confidence. Confidence is extremely important when it comes to communicating professionally. Now, even if you are not a naturally confident person or you're not as confident as you would like to be with your English, there are things you can do to portray or demonstrate confidence, even if you don't feel it just quite yet. And you will get there, all right? The first thing you can do is make sure that you are projecting your voice when you speak. Make sure that you're speaking loudly enough for people to hear you. Of course, you don't want to yell, but you also don't want to whisper or swallow your words, okay? So you want to project your voice, make sure that it's nice and clear. It's also a good idea to speak a little bit slowly. Slow your speech down. This helps to calm your nerves and it controls the pace of your speech. So you're not speaking too quickly, because sometimes when people get nervous, they have a tendency to speak really, really fast, and this shows your listener that you're feeling nervous. Also, practice things like maintaining eye contact with people who you're speaking to and building rapport. Building rapport means that you make the people around you feel comfortable and feel at ease when they are talking to you. And like I said, even if confidence doesn't come naturally to you, I want to remind you that it is a skill that you can learn and develop. And I know this because this is something that I have personally done. I was not always confident, but I developed my confidence through my work and through practice. So if you are not confident in general with your English, I would recommend that you just speak every single chance you get. And that way you can start working on your confidence in social situations, in informal and more relaxed situations. And that way, when it comes to work or professional settings, you will be better prepared and you will naturally feel more confident since you've had the chance to practice. So confidence is a really big one. Next, you want to improve your pronunciation. Now, having clear and polished pronunciation is a big one because it's important that people can understand you. As well, it's important to remember that pronunciation and accent are not the same thing. So if you're worried about your accent or you feel like you have a strong accent, first of all, do not worry or be ashamed about your accent. You should be proud of your accent. Your accent is part of who you are. And we all speak with our natural accents, right? So when I speak another language, of course, I still speak with my own accent. If I speak French, you're not going to think that I'm a native French speaker. I'm still going to have my own accent. But what matters is that you are not mispronouncing words, especially important words that are relevant to the work that you're doing, or mispronouncing words to a point where your listener doesn't understand you, all right? So don't stress about your accent, but instead focus on the clarity of your pronunciation. So there you have it. These tips will help you to communicate more professionally in English. Now, you may or may not have thought about these things before. And at the beginning of today's video, I said that professional communication is about more than grammar and vocabulary. Now, that's not to say that grammar and vocabulary are not important. Of course they are important. You do need to have a decent level of English grammar and a decent level of vocabulary in order to communicate, right? Of course you need that foundation. And if you feel like your level of grammar and vocabulary are already quite high, but you don't really know why you're not sounding as professional as you want to, consider the points that we talked about today, and you might be able to identify some areas that you can improve upon. If you have any other tips that you would like to share with us, please drop them in the comments. Don't forget to check out the Essential English for Business course linked down below and grab your free ebook, English Conversations Made Simple. I've also linked that down below. If you enjoyed today's video, please do give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss future videos. Thank you so much for watching, learning, and spending time with me today. I'll see you soon in the next one.